hold on. Like that, like that. Yeah. But then, all right.
Hey guys, I think we're live here. Welcome to the Mid-State Massive Ultra Trail 2024 edition of our live stream pre-race briefing. Andy and Rich here. Got our new mugs for the year. Cheers. The chat should be live, so if you guys have any questions throughout the briefing that you want to address to us, we'll do our best to keep an eye on that and answer some of your questions. Tonight we're going to go through just pretty much the pre-race email that we sent you and identify some other things, and also probably we'll make a little bit of an audible, and about halfway through we're going to just start on page 1 of the race handbook because we know that only half of you are going to read it. So we'll go through each of the 15 points of order page by page for the next 2.5 hours. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So with all that being said, we won't read the whole handbook.
No.
But we're going to start with Rich, who will talk about start times, and we can get going. This will be about a half an hour of your time.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us. And we've read the handbook many, many times, so we actually hope that you guys do, because it'll answer a lot of your questions, we hope. So start times, let's talk about that. A lot of discourse going on about start times. They were posted a few days ago on our website. We've received some requests, and for every request that we've received, we've taken a hard look at those requests, and those folks have been contacted directly. Some adjustments have been made, not all. And at this point in time, we really need to lock everything down. We can't go back and start or continue rather tweaking the start times. There's a lot of things that depend on the accuracy of the times that go into it, and the aid station open and close times, the on-course support, etc. So for folks, we appreciate your patience in that, but I think we're pretty much done on that end of things. Shuttle bus. So there's a shuttle bus that goes from the finish line, and it goes to the start lines for the 30, the 50, and the 100. We've kept it open. It was supposed to close on the 6th of October, but we're actually going to keep it open until midnight tonight. So if anybody has been meaning to pre-register for the shuttle bus, we've got almost 50 people so far. But you still have time to get in there and pre-register. It's a coach bus. It's not a school bus, so it's actually a pretty sweet ride back to wherever your cars are at. Okay. And I wish I had the shirt to hold up. So the 24 shirt. Yes. Anyway, okay. So race shirts. So all of your bibs are packed. Your race shirts are packed. On the back of the race shirt, there's a phrase. It says "Running with Joe." Okay. In 24. So Running with Joe is in honor of Joe Laurearo, who has run with us ever since the beginning. He's an inaugural 100-miler, ran with us up through last year. We actually presented Joe and Dane a 5-year award jacket for running 5 years consistently, or continuously rather, in the event. Unfortunately, Joe passed away earlier this year. He was a pillar in the running community on the road and in the trail for TARC and other races around New England. A lot of people know him, and we wanted to do something a little bit special. So we added that tagline on the back of everybody's shirt. We know he would have run with us. In fact, he was registered to run with us this year. And Joe's family is actually going to come to the finish line. So somewhere around 11:30 this year, 11:30 in the morning at the finish line, we're going to honor Joe's memory with his family. We have a special award that we're going to present to them. So in any event, if you guys were wondering, if you knew Joe, that's awesome. But if not, then that's okay. It's just our way of recognizing somebody who was a really great soul. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks. We're really crushed to hear about Joe's passing, and it's the least we can do to at least honor his commitment to us and to the race and to the New England trail running community. I'm going to talk a little bit about navigating the course, and I know I get a lot of questions about navigation. The course of the Mid-State Trail is based on the actual hiking trail called the Mid-State Trail. It's blazed with yellow triangles. You'll see photos of what those yellow triangles look like in the race handbook that we sent to you, and that's also on our website. When navigating south, you'll see these blazes every, not every, 40 to 50 feet, maybe sometimes a little bit further. If you don't see a blaze, you may have taken a wrong turn. Also, if you don't see a blaze, you may be following one of our reroutes. There's a couple sections of trail for all three races that follow our Mid-State Massive arrow signage. I've been placing, there's the blaze. There's the blaze. There it is. You'll be following these. Rich is going to get the actual arrow sign so you can see. So where you'll be navigating around certain areas of trail that we have not gotten permission to cross due to conservation or private landowner. But for the most part, we've worked with the communities and are pretty proud to say that we have accessed, I think it's about 96% of the entire Mid-State Trail north to south from the New Hampshire border to the Rhode Island border. Cool feature about the race is that you'll be actually, all the racers will cross the tri-state marker in Douglas State Forest. There's a point about 3 miles from the finish for all three races. There's our arrows, where you'll be in 3 states at once: Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. So make sure you stop and take a look at that point. For navigating, we've provided you with a bunch of tools to be able to find your way south. We've put the GPX file on our website, and that's the actual track with the aid stations that you can put on your Garmin, your Suunto, your navigational watch. You can put it on your phone, on Gaia GPS, All Trails, any mapping software that you like to use. We've also given you a link to Ultra Pacer, a fantastic app where you can build your running plan. It's where we have our map. You can even download the GPX file from that map. And so those are really like the best ways for you to navigate. So it's, start with the blaze. That's what you're always looking for. At night, there'll be a little reflective sticker on the blaze. Your headlamp will catch. So you'll see a string of these lights through the night. And I know most people are worried about navigating at night. Last year we heard it was easier to navigate at night than it was in the day. To that quick point, just south of the 50-mile start area and aid station 7, there is a section of woods that has been recently logged. And by logged, I mean chopped down, not like, oh, we see it and we've written it down. When you get to this clearing in the middle of the night, it may be a little tricky. Work together, and if you're with somebody, you're going slowly. It's going to be between the hours of 9 p.m. and midnight for most people at that point. Pay attention to your navigational tools that we've provided with you. Go slow if you feel like you're lost. Turn around. Head back to where you saw the last marker. Hey, what's up, Kate? Kate in the chat. We also have the app RaceJoy. We choose to use RaceJoy as a race organization because it helps us take care of all of our racers, and that's you guys. We put your safety paramount. We have over 12 EMTs on the course, hopping down the course. At every aid station, we have a medical director on site. But if we don't know that you're injured or lost, then we can't get to you. And this is why we require you guys to download the RaceJoy app and enter your bib number. the cool thing about this app is that your friends and family can also follow along. And so they can, see where you're at. Your crew can jump ahead. Your crew can respond. More often than not, everyone always has a positive experience with it. It is a little bit of a hassle with battery. So that's why we require you to, if you're doing the bigger distances, to have that battery pack to recharge it. I know the 30 miler doesn't necessarily always run out of battery. Some people sometimes run out in the 50, definitely in the 100.
But we're actively looking at you. Yep. So for all 3 races, we have got our eyes on the front of the field, the middle of the field, the back of the field. Sometimes we're looking for specific runners, but most of the time we just want to see where everybody is at. If your RaceJoy app is not on, we won't be able to know where you're at. Now, that all said, you have to check into every single aid station. So you have to check in with the EMT. They're going to log your bib and your arrival time. That's a belt and suspenders, and that's our primary way to know, have you come through the aid station? Have we accounted for you? It's 99.9% foolproof. But the secondary method is by looking at RaceJoy. So we're looking at RaceJoy and we'll see, can we find you? Can we find your name? Can we see you pinging on the map? Then we've got a better sense as to how you're doing. Okay, so that's the other reason for RaceJoy. It's not your primary method for navigation. It's an alternate. Okay, but for us, it's keeping our eyes on you to make sure that you're in good shape.
And to that point, 2 quick points about it. Because it's not your official race time, when you show up to your start line, you can just go to the program and hit start my race, right. Set it and forget it. You don't have to start it as soon as you cross the line, as soon as we say go. Just set it and forget it, put it in your pocket and focus on the task at hand. I think that's it for RaceJoy.
Yeah.
And don't worry, I see your questions coming in. I'm making some notes. We'll address those in a little bit. One other thing was I was out on the course today in some sections south of the 50, and boy, it is beautiful. Like the leaves are changing, they're hitting the ground, the trail is dry. The lines of sight are pretty good in the sections that I was at, and you guys are really in for a treat this weekend. The 50 milers get to start at night, and finishing at sunrise in the morning in Douglas State Park is going to be an incredible experience for the 50 milers. Also for the 100 milers coming up over Town Farm Road at Whittier Farms at sunrise is just going to be incredible. So, I think that's for trail conditions. Last year in some of the sections I rode, I was carrying my bicycle in knee-deep water, and I know the people who ran the race can attest to that. Yeah. This year, all those sections were bone dry. The weather's looking good. And I'll just address this quick question that I saw in the chat earlier. Yes, you can use poles on the course. We don't have any requirements around if you choose to stop using them, then you can't use them. You can use poles on and off for as long as you'd like. I'll just
put them in your bag.
Put them in your bag, give them to your crew. Right. Yep. Yeah. So cool. We can move on to.
All right. Rich so transportation. If you're taking the bus or if you want to leave your car, on the website, there's a link for a parking pass. Now, while I'm saying the website because there's an older version that's on Ultra Sign Up. There's an older version that's still linked to the handbook. All right. So don't look at those ones. Look at the one that's on the website. And the reason why is because that one has a DCR logo smack dab in the middle at the top, okay? So DCR, Department of Conservation and Recreation, they oversee 6 different parks and forests that we are running through. So they are a prominent landowner in the entire endeavor. If you're leaving your car overnight at Douglas at the finish line, you absolutely need to have one of these parking passes put in your windshield. If you're leaving it at Rutland Long Pond or at House Day Park, again, both DCR properties, make sure you've printed out a parking pass and put it in your windshield, okay? And then they know you're part of the race and they're not going to tow you and all that jazz, okay? So that's just addressing parking pass. We just want to make sure that everyone's clear on that, all right? On course support. So 15 aid stations for the 100 miler, and fewer for the 50 and for the 30. We have a combination of food items, and we have posted the food menu on the website for each aid station. So we try to keep a good balance of food items between sweet, salty, fresh fruit, runner type products like scratch and nutrition bars and energy gels and things like that. If it says fruit, I know somebody asked a question a couple of days ago, does that mean bananas? Yes, almost certainly there will be bananas at most stations where it says fruit. Oranges are another item that will put a lot out. Every site will have scratch hydration drink mix, every single one. Okay. The finish line will have high carb and recovery drink mix as well. All right. All of our aid stations are staffed with our EMTs. And as Andy mentioned earlier, they hopscotch their way down the course. So you actually will probably see the same EMTs at some point in time from Saturday into Sunday. All right. The aid stations have a volunteer crew. Typically, it's a nonprofit organization from the community that we're running through. Those folks get a donation from us for their organization. So it's a win-win in terms of building community support and just the camaraderie and the support for the event. You will be running through people's backyards. Some people will be out there with a table and apples and snacks for you guys. I mean, so depending upon the landowner, you actually might be very pleasantly surprised to see some folks cheering you on as you run through their backyards. But please recognize that you are running through people's private property. So even though it's the Mid-State Trail, it's not a separate state-owned entity. DCR only owns the park sections, but in between is private landowners. Okay, so just be respectful of the fact, especially at night. Be respectful of the fact that you're running through somebody's backyard, and you may not even see their homes. It could be a mile away, and they'll never know that you're there. But other people are actually very, very aware that you're running through their backyards. Dogs are barking, things like that. So anyway, so that's food support, aid station support. The aid station open and close times also posted on our website. Okay, it is developed to take in all three events. So the open and close times for all three events take into account the paces, the breadth of paces for runners in all three events. Okay, so that's how we've established that, and that's how we've established our infrastructure for support. Really, really important thing to keep in mind. You have to check in with the EMT at the aid station. There's no running through. If you're feeling good and you want to run faster, that's great, so long as you stop at the aid station, see the EMT, let them check in your bib. If you don't do that and you somehow wind up 2 or 3 legs down the road, that's pretty much a condition for a DNF, right? So it's really important that you check in. And again, as I said earlier, it's a safety concern for us. We want to be able to account for everybody. So you have to check in at every aid station, okay? And we don't want you to outrun the support. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, Pacers?
Pacers. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I'm just going to address our Pacers real quick. We've got, for 100 milers, you can have up to 2 Pacers. Same with the 50 miles, you can have up to 2 Pacers. Pacers cannot join you until 50 miles, which also means for the 50 milers, like your Pacer can essentially start with you if you want. But that's something that we've never really had an issue with. That means only 1 Pacer on the course at a time. All Pacers have to check in at either the 100-mile start or the 50-mile start, because we need you to sign a physical waiver, or have your Pacer, if they're not on the stream here, sign a physical waiver and present us with the full safety list of everything that you have to carry. They also have to carry, and we have to sign off on them to be able to be out on the course. So yes, they can join you at aid station 13, but they still need to check in and sign the waiver at one of the registration tents, either the 100-mile start or the 50-mile start. The 50-mile registration will open up, I believe it's 6 p.m. ish So if your pacer wants to show up early, they can come and actually register. They don't have to wait all night for you to be there. They can come, they can get there and then go off and do whatever they want. So you can let your pacer know, hey, I won't be there till 11 p.m. at like the 50 mile aid station 7 area, but you can go there at 6, go see Mark G, who's in the chat answering some of your questions right now. And he'll get you all set up with the pacer bib and get you on your way. Same thing for 50 milers. Your pacer will register at the 50 mile start. And so they can go off from there. They could even show up earlier if you're starting later in the night. What else for pacers? 30 milers don't have pacers. I had a question here. Parking pass for overnight. Somebody that asked in the chat about, do you need the parking pass if you're not parking overnight? No. It's only for if you're leaving your vehicle at like a DCR lot or the start line of any of the races. Right. Let's see. I was just kind of like trying to bring some of these things in. Somebody asked earlier if their pacer could park at the finish and then ride their bicycle to aid station 13. I'm trying to see who that was. Reposer les limites, running without limits or something. I don't know.
And what happens to the bicycle?
And then what happens to the bike? So they said, can I leave my bike at, I'm assuming, aid station 13 for 3 hours. So yes, your pacers can run with you from Whittier Farms, aid station 13 to the finish line.
But you have to sign up.
But you have to sign up at the 50 mile start or the 100 mile start and present all the safety gear. When leaving a vehicle at the finish line, the gate will open on Sunday morning at 5:30 a.m. The gate closes on Saturday night at, I believe it's 6:30 p.m. They said recently.
Yeah, but they'll keep. Yeah. So we have a really good relationship with the state parks, and the folks who run the finish line in the various locations have been really great for all the runners. But they also want to go home. So if it's near dusk and you're leaving, leaving your vehicle, just make sure they're not waiting for you to shut the park down. Okay, so that's
great question, Anthony. Do pacers need the RaceJoy app? No, they do not need the RaceJoy app.
It wouldn't hurt you, but no, you don't need it.
Yeah. They can use the GPX. They can use the same navigational tools that the racers are using.
Right.
Yep. There was also a question earlier. How long do I show up before my start wave? And our guidance has always been about 1 hour, 45 minutes to an hour before your wave. If you're camping at the 100 mile start, then you're just there. That's no big deal. Yeah. The 50 mile area is very large, but for parking, but it should accommodate a couple hundred cars easily. Yeah. So the general guidance is about an hour, but we're not really holding that over you.
Right. I mean, you're going through safety check. That's going to take a little time. Bib pickup, that'll take a little time. And just give yourself enough time. You might want to use the bathroom before you go. Just kind of the normal pre-race,
pre-race stuff
kind of thing, right? Let's see.
So safety gear.
Yeah.
Just going to quickly review the safety gear. 150 mile race. Each runner participating is expected to come prepared with one reflective vest with reflective strips, or like an ankle or wrist strap, something that can reflect if a car light hits it. There's significant sections of the course that are on road at night, and we would love those cars to be able to see you if you're crossing a road. Just coming out of a trail, going straight across the road into the trail, like it can happen really quick. So please have that with you. If your vest that you carry has lights and reflective on it and it's like you think a car will see me, that's fine too. Vessel to transport water and hydration, the ability to carry up to 2 liters of water minimum. We make this requirement because, you know, like it's going to be hot during the day and then cold at night.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you have to fill your bladder with 2 liters. I know it's heavy and it's a lot, but we've had instances where runners have gotten lost out in the woods and they had, you know, 1 liter because they only had handhelds or something like that. And yeah, it got a little hairy. So we do ask that you have the ability to carry it. That doesn't mean you have to fill everything up. So that should be, you know, if you just do like 500 mils in your pack here, and you have the ability to carry like a 2 liter bladder here, or 1 liter in the back also, and it's empty, that's fine. Or if it's even in your drop bag, you still have to show it to us. Doesn't mean you have to run with it, but you just have to show it to us that you have it. And then when you get to your drop bag, you're like, I need more water. Boom. That's why we say we want you to just have the ability to carry it and show us. Next point, 1 blinky red light. That's for your back. If your headlamp has a blinking red light on it, that works. That's okay. 1 working headlamp or waist lamp. That's great. Absolutely mandatory. Please tell all your friends, shout it from the rooftops, 1 emergency blanket. Those little like tinfoily, you know, whatever they are, Teflon, Mylar blankets.
Right.
Probably saved a few people from hypothermia last year. I was out last night actually, and it dropped down to the low 40s. So think about it. You're at, you know, mile 65, mile 70. Your clothes are sweaty and wet, and it's getting cold, and you know, you get lost, and the next thing you know, what do? First thing is put that emergency blanket on and reset. So please, please, please bring that emergency blanket. We've turned runners who have registered for this race away at safety check because they didn't have their emergency blanket. So please, and then they would go off and, like, you know, ask other people who were there if they had extras. And, you know, we don't want that to happen to anybody. We don't want anybody not to be able to run the race because they don't have something on the required gear.
So that being said,
no, don't even say it.
Okay.
And then a cell phone with a charging cable, race joy, and, you know, a little battery cell to charge it if you think it's necessary. Right. And then for the 30-mile race, your ability to carry hydration is 1 liter minimum. So you don't have to carry the full 2 liters. It's a shorter race, and it's a little bit easier to navigate in the morning. The cell phone for tracking with race joy, charging cable, spare cell if you need it, not required, but recommended.
So just a comment, not to, you know, really count it in, but on the Race Joy app, it's one thing to say, oh, look, I've got the app, but it actually needs to be on and shows that it's now in tracking mode. Okay. So when you check in, our safety person is going to be looking, and they want to see, okay, there's me, and yep, I'm tracking. Great. That's just confirmation that you've got it loaded correctly, and then it's on, and then we'll be able to see you once the race starts. Like Andy said earlier, we're not using that to track your time. We're not using that to set up results. So don't worry about, you could start it an hour before you even show up. You're driving in your car and you're just going to start, right? That's totally fine. The total time that's being cumulative on the Race Joy piece means nothing to your the final result. Okay, so just to be clear about that, don't want you guys worrying about it.
Hey, John Belmont, great question. John is asking, do I have to carry a headlamp from the 100-mile start, or can I pick it up from my crew before it gets dark? So there are two avenues here. John, answering your specific question, yes, you can pick it up from your crew before it gets dark. 100-milers will be approaching aid station 4 at Wachusett Mountain around dusk to sunset, pretty much regardless of your start time. So it is the general rule of thumb that you have your headlamp with you leaving aid station 4 for all 100-milers. Just go with that. If you're leaving aid station 4, have your headlamp with you, because I think it's about a 900-foot climb, and then you're over the mountain, and then you're in the trees on the north side, and it gets dark. Or excuse me, on the south side, it gets dark, and then you're going down a rock scramble, and the next thing you know, it's like 7 p.m. and sunset, and it's dark.
It's dark.
So if you're going up Wachusett without your headlamp, you've made a critical error. And so we've, I would even say turn around and go back and get it.
So that being said, if your crew is going to show up at aid station 3, right, Wachusett Dental, that's the first place you could see them. And yes, you can pick up your headlamp from that point forward. Generally speaking, most people can get to Wachusett Dental while it's still daylight.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it from my end on the safety check here.
Right.
And I'll take a look at the chat and see if I can get anybody else in here.
So I want to talk a little bit about bag drop. The magical bag drop team that we have actually works their butts off to make sure that your bags leapfrog ahead and magically appear at the next opportunity when you need them. So for the 100-milers, we collect all your bags, and as soon as the 100-mile race is shut down, we literally sprint to Wachusett and get them all laid out, and they'll all be there waiting for you before you even arrive at Wachusett Mountain, that is. Then once folks come through Wachusett Mountain, as they're coming through, we take a portion of your bags and we jump ahead to Rutland so that those runners, when they pull into Rutland, will have their bags. We continue to do this dance all the way to the finish line. For the 100, the 50, and for the 30, we'll have them there at the finish line too. Just you guys only just get it once, right? But for the 100 miles and 50 miles, they get to enjoy it a few times. Okay, so the regulations for the size of the bags, that's in the handbook. So please, try to keep to the size of the bag. But they'll be there when you arrive. Okay, so don't worry about that. I want to talk about sweep support. So last year we introduced, actually very timely that it happened to be last year that we introduced this, but we introduced this idea of sweep support. That means if you're going to drop and nobody, plans to drop, but we basically have an EMT who's following the course in a minivan. They're following it from Wachusett Mountain and they're heading south. They're slowly heading south all the way to Douglas State Park. Okay. If you drop, and this goes for anybody, you need to let the EMT know that you're going to withdraw. So if you're at a crew support and you want to, go with your crew, totally fine. Let the EMT know. If you're in a place where there's no crew support, it's the middle of the night, and and maybe there's not an Uber anywhere to be found, let the EMT know. They're going to make a call to our medical director, and our sweep support van will arrive at some point with a blanket and a towel, and you can climb in and stay warm all the way to the finish. They're not going to, or to a crew support location. Okay. It's not a taxi. It's not an Uber. It's not going to take you to your house. That's just 5 miles to off the course. Nuh-uh. They're staying on the course and they're going all the way. All right. So that's like a backup to the backup of if something goes wrong and the race just isn't going your way. Then we've got your back on that case. We had 14 or 15 racers last year in the deluge on Saturday night who took advantage of that. I'm sure they were very happy to be able to step into a nice warm van and, towel off and get dry and get a ride to where they're going. So just a FYI, but you have to talk to the EMT at the aid station to initiate that. Okay. So, finish line.
Finish line.
Let's talk about the finish
line.
You get to the finish line. The finish line is, as I said, RaceJoy is not checking your time, so don't worry about that. Mark, our registration timing guy, guru, is going to be tracking everybody. The bibs that you have, the wrist straps that you have, all have barcodes. We're using those barcodes primarily to scan your time. We know when you started, we know when you're going to finish because we're scanning those barcodes. That's primarily the way we're doing it. Finish line is open to all friends, family, and crew. All runners, everything for you guys is pretty much complimentary in terms of food, refreshments. There's a hot meal from Bon May, which is a pretty popular food truck company in Boston. They'll be on site. We'll have hot soup, we'll have coffee, we'll have tea, we'll have desserts. All of that is for you guys. So when you're ready to eat, when you're ready to recover and refuel, it's all going to be there. Okay. Your family can buy meal tickets. So you go up to the merchandise area or the refreshment tent. If you want to buy a meal ticket for your crew, meal tickets for your crew, feel free to do that. We'll have some merchandise as well, branded merchandise that has our logo. Well, that's the staff gear this year, but craft jackets, hoodies, some baseball caps, some buffs, things like that. So we'll have some games, hopefully.
Yeah, long games maybe.
Long games.
Chairs.
And it's going to be
blankets.
It's going to be a beautiful day. So we're really excited about the finish line. The shuttle bus is going to be located near the finish line. Okay. The shuttle bus schedule is posted up on our website. It's a approximate schedule. So what we do is we look at the trends for people coming in who have pre-reserved around on the bus. We know who you are. We're looking at when you're coming in, and then we basically will hold the bus until you come in, things like that. Maybe we'll hold it for a half hour, and then they'll head out and they'll go out. We have 2 buses, and they rotate through the drop-off points from the 30, 50, and 100, and then they come back and do it again for us, okay?
Good. Max, I saw your question come in here a couple times. Will there be a heated area at the finish while waiting for the bus? So we try to set up there's
a recovery tent.
Recovery tent. Yep.
It is not heated. We don't. The aid station and the check-in points at Rutland is heated because it's overnight and it gets really chilly overnight. So we have propane heaters in those locations. We don't necessarily.
We try to set up the propane heaters if we can get them down to the finish line in time. We do have blankets, like some of those like Mexican blankets and chairs that are like put out in that recovery area. And actually, I was out there today at about 8:30 in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was really nice. Like with the blanket and and the sun coming up right on you in the tent.
So okay,
although it's not heated,
hold on. Max, I'm taking that back.
Okay.
We actually did set up the propane heaters in the tent last year.
Oh, okay. So then the propane heaters will be set up in the tent.
Max, we did that last year. Sorry.
And this is how the sausage is made. So
having a pre-race moment.
We'll have it all set by 10 years in.
Yeah. Exactly.
What time do the 50 milers typically start coming to the finish area? Well, the first finisher for the 50 miler, if they run a course record, will be at around, 7:15 in the morning. And if a 100 miler runs a course record this year, it'll probably be around 6:45 in the morning.
Do we need a red blinking light on? Yeah, Greg. The whole point of a red blinking light is to have it blinking.
Have it on. Have it on after dusk, and it doesn't have to necessarily be on in the daytime, but if it's dark,
that's true.
If it's dark, it should be on. On your pack and blinking. This will also help you, Greg, if and when
on the back, Greg.
On the back, when you if and when you take a little like detour off the path, you'll see someone else's red blinking light ahead of you.
Exactly.
So you could be helping someone who maybe got lost behind you. Yeah.
Exactly. What's you got for questions?
Somebody asked about a pre-purchased shuttle, but they don't need it. Yes, we can use your shuttle ticket for someone else if you're not going to use it. We may also be able to do a refund of that potentially on at the finish line.
That's a little trickier,
but it might be tricky. So yes, we can use it. We may be able to refund it, but just know that it will either get used or in some way. One quick point, because I see some people asking lots of questions and they're getting answered in the chat. You guys all might be wondering who Rob Hunt is. Rob Hunt is our medical director. He's been with us for 6 years now, and he's worked with Rich for a couple decades, maybe at this point, over 20 years.
Yeah.
Rob Hunt, anybody who asked a question that Rob answered, he's an official person with the race. The same thing with, I've also seen Mark G in there. Mark G runs our registration. He's done all the math to make sure that this thing can work.
Right.
Without math, this race wouldn't happen. It's really surprising, but there's a lot of moving parts. And anything Mark G had to say, he's the timing guru.
Right.
Yep. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Hit us. What other questions haven't we answered? We're doing our best to keep up with the chat stream here.
Yeah. What kind of beers do you guys like? I want to bring something from here. Oh, great. Yeah. We're drinking, right now we're drinking Oktoberfests. I've been really on a, we'll try and keep this short and sweet and to the point, but, I've really been on the Czech Pilsners lately. So wondering if there's a list for the people using the bus. I think I prepaid for it. Oh yeah. Somebody asked a question earlier. How do I check my registration if I purchased a ticket for the bus? You can go onto Ultra Sign Up, and when you log in, you'll see a little drop down with your name at the top right of the screen. Open that up, go to your race, and click your. I can do it here. That's fine. And just click on the race confirmation number, and you'll be able to see everything for what you purchased through Ultra Sign Up when you registered. At the beginning, somebody mentioned the audio is glitchy. I'm not sure how it is for everyone else, but it seems like it's going okay. So to answer that, this is being recorded and it will be posted on our YouTube channel after this.
Right.
So you can go back and watch anything you may have missed.
So some questions about the bus. The bus driver does not have a list of folks who have pre-purchased the ticket. So what we manage that at the finish line. We know we have the complete roster of the folks who have purchased a shuttle bus ticket, and then we coordinate that with the bus driver because of the timing, the anticipated timing of when you're going to be finishing. Okay. So that's the story on the bus piece. In terms of food items, there are some gluten-free options at many of the aid stations. We are very cognizant of that. So you have to look at the aid station food list for that person from California who can't wait to get here. Or maybe she's here. I don't know. When are you arriving there, Miss California? Just Pringles. Pringles.
Okay, so let's see. Friends and family are allowed at all crew aid stations. Any aid station on the chart that says crew aid station, Cami, any friends and family are allowed, especially at the 50-mile start. There's plenty of parking. Yeah. It's a really great vibe. So any crew aid station, it says friends and family are allowed. For a good question about how much pavement in the 50-mile race, I believe it's probably it's between 14 and 17 miles, I believe, right now. That's a great question. Not really like counting any time that you may like just cross some pavement, but like for any section that's consistently you're running on pavement for more than a mile or so. We're working really tirelessly with the Mid-State Trail Committee, who manages the trail system here, and some of the other local organizations, the Greater Worcester Land Trust, who has a really huge hand in this. And we were hoping to make this announcement this year, but we're really trying to get a section of trail that will add about 7 miles of trail. Take away about 7 miles of road in one section and add about 6 miles of trail in another. We're really close to making that happen. Hopefully, we've been, knocking on some doors, and there's a few legal logistics, but basically, that's to answer that question. And hopefully next year, when you all sign up to run the race again, you'll be able to, run that new section of trail.
And this gets back to what I mentioned earlier about private landowners. We have to be really sensitive to the folks who have granted access to their property for the Mid-State Trail. And some landowners are just super sensitive to the volume of people on the trail going near their house. And in a few cases, the Mid-State Trail Committee has actually rerouted the trail to be further away from someone's home, just to minimize the disturbance. So we actively do that, and we're working closely with them. We want to get as much woods as possible, much trail as possible, and we'll continue to do that. There's some questions about any other things that crew members should know about that's not in the handbook. No, I think we've pretty much covered that pretty well. The one thing, the one thing I'll point out is that crew support locations are designated as such because of the physical size of the location, meaning that there's enough room for vehicles to come in and park, for you guys to set up a couple of chairs, for your runner to come in, and all of that. Where we don't have, those aid stations that are not crewed support, please don't try to go there. Some are just simply trailheads, and there's a tent and a porta-john, and that's it, and no room for cars. Okay, so you may want to, if you're following your runner and you're driving down the course and you just want to see it, that's one thing, but try not to use that as a crew support location.
I saw two questions here. Rob just addressed Jonathan, but John Kemp asked earlier about when you see arrows and when you see blazes. Where's that arrow, Rich? Let me see that. So so here's the arrow, here's the blaze. You primarily are following the triangle blaze. There are a few points where we use these arrows more significantly. There are also some areas that are tricky to navigate, that are some turns that keep you on the Mid-State Trail. So you're always following this and this.
Unless you see this.
Unless you see this, then you're just following this.
Right.
But if you're just following this, you won't see this. So keep following this.
So, okay. So that was clear as the mud from last year.
Right.
So here's an example. On the backside of Wachusett Mountain, when you come down, you're following that Mid-State Trail marker, okay?
Mm-hmm.
However, as soon as you physically come down to the road, the Mid-State Trail wants to go off into Mass Audubon property, which will not give us permission to run through their land. And you're going to see two of those arrows saying, make a right turn.
Boom. Yeah.
Make a right turn. And we will guide you and reorient you and reconnect you back onto the trail a few miles down the road. It's actually a gorgeous section of road, by the way. But we'll get you back onto the trail. So there's several portions of the course where we have to do that because we don't have permission to run on the trail in that particular location. And we try to make it as obvious as possible.
Yep.
Okay?
And yes, there are some road sections that are actually Mid-State Trail.
Right.
So especially coming down through
Charlton
and Oxford.
Yeah.
So the actual blazes are on telephone poles with the reflective stickers on them, which the Mid-State Trail Committee spent a lot of time and man hours and woman hours and actual physical money putting those stickers on blazes from Douglas to New Ipswich, New Hampshire. So we're always very grateful for their support.
Packet pickup is going to be at your start line. Okay, so the packet pickup for the 100-miler is in New Ipswich. For the 50 miles in Rutland. For the 30-miler is at House State Park in Spencer. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think for the 30-miler, there's about, in terms of road distance broken up between the trail, it's about 10 to 12 miles of road. Also, quick note, we call it a 30-miler. It is actually a true 50K. It's a true 50K. So when your watch says 30, you'll still have 2.5 miles to go. Know that you're running 50K. We were able to kind of fix this up a couple of years ago. We just want to make sure you know that, yes, we call it a 30-miler because it fits nicely with 50 and 100. But yeah, it's a true 50K. So congratulations to all of you who will finish that this year.
Jack Cohan, we said a little bit earlier, 45 minutes before you start, and it may be an hour. It really depends on how long for you, to get ready, right? You have to go through safety check. You have to go get your bib, and shirt picked up and stuff like that. And that's gonna take a little while, and you may want to have a cup of coffee, use the Porta John, what have you. So don't show up 15 minutes before you start. I think you're really pushing it.
Yeah, and have fun with it. You can run with music. Just be aware it's an open course. It's like right. There are cars. There's crossing the road. We don't have police at every intersection, but we have police at some.
We have them at critical intersections.
And we just want you guys to have the best possible race that you can. We don't if there are emergency pee breaks in between aid stations where we have Porta Johns, we just don't know about it. Just remember that private landowners have given us permission over 160 properties. Right. If a private landowner sees someone in the race peeing and it's like behind their shed and they say, we don't want the Mid-State Trail on our land anymore, the Mid-State Trail Committee will then have to reroute the entire Mid-State Trail around that person's house, and we will no longer be allowed to have a race. So there is that. So if it's super duper secret and we don't know about it, then we don't know about it. That's all I'm saying.
Use really good discretion. If you can see a house from wherever you are, probably not. They can see you.
Coffee. And then to that point, if you're going to be peeing, it's probably because you drank too much coffee at the start.
Yes, there'll be coffee at the start. Just don't drink as much.
Yeah. There'll be coffee at the start. There'll be coffee and refreshments at all 3 starts.
Yep.
And then also at the finish line, There'll be plenty of refreshments. So I think that's pretty much, I tried to catch as much as I could
the comment
out of the chat.
The comet.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, guys, this is awesome. Comet Tsuchinshan Atlas will be bright enough to see with the naked eye. It's a fuzzy little circle with a long tail stretching away from it, beginning pretty much Saturday night in the western sky between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. So this is a pretty epic event. We've got this comet that was discovered last year. It'll be viewable in the night sky. Anybody summiting Wachusett around that time will have an incredible view of it. Yeah. So we're really psyched about that. We have 3 course photographers this year. We have a course photographer who will be trying to capture as much as possible from the 100 to the finish. We have a videographer, and then we have someone doing finish line photos. So we've really committed to trying to get the best content possible for you guys this year. So we've got photographers, we've got the comet, we've got the arrows, we've got the blazes.
We have a kick-ass staff.
We have a great staff
that love doing this event.
Yep.
And we're really psyched that you guys are going to be here.
Awesome.
Okay. Any other questions?
All right. So.
And great Rex. Yeah.
Thanks, Kate. Anybody in the chats? Kate just said great RDs. She didn't say that she cursed me out the first year.
I remember that.
Yeah. We love you guys. We're really excited for you to be here this weekend. We're really working our butts off. It's going to be fantastic. Huge shout out to our sponsors, Vibram, Kraft, Athletic Brewing Company, Scratch, and Mountainside Skiing Sport in Wachusett. So crew, I know you're there to support your runner, but if you need ski gear and you're at Wachusett Mountain, there's a coupon. Actually, for all the runners, it'll be in your bag. You'll get a coupon for Mountainside Skiing Sport. They're actually helping us sponsor the aid station at Wachusett Mountain. They're having a big ski swap during the same day on Saturday. So runners, I know you're not going to go in there and shop for cross-country skis, but your crew might want to do that. So. Yeah, and to that point, we also want to point out that at Aid Station 13, Whittier Farms is kind of throwing a curveball for us in the positive way this year. They really are, using the baseball metaphor, leaving a nice big fat one hanging over the plate and keeping their store open on Sunday.
Right, which they never do.
Which they've never done in the first 5 years of this event. The milk store at Whittier Farms, aid station 13, has all sorts of like fruit and root beer and baked goods and chocolate milk and crackers and you name it. So the crew, John, your crew and your family and friends definitely go to the milk store at Whittier Farms, aid station 13. They'll be able to grab a bunch of stuff for you guys and bring it to the finish line. It's going to be really special, in addition to all of the other great stuff that we'll have at the aid station. So all that being said, guys, it's 7:55. My Mets are playing in a must-win game to keep going. Yeah, I'm from Long Island. I'm a Mets guy. Just leave it there. What do you say, Rich? Call it a night?
I think we call it a night. I think you guys have been awesome. Thank you for signing up tonight and staying with us. That's really awesome. Can't wait to see you guys in a few days. We'll be there.
Yeah, let's go. All right.
All right. Good night.
Good night. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.